Welcome to Merrill's Monday Morning Market Madness, coming at you with some interesting numbers and statistics, specifically regarding what the housing market is doing in the Phoenix metro area. So if you like hearing numbers and stats and you are curious about whether it's a good time to buy or you're curious about the value of your home, then this is the show for you. So as always, I like to start our show off looking at the month's supply of inventory. We kind of analyze how many homes have sold in the last 30 days compared to how many homes are available for sale. How long would it take for everything to be gone if no new homes were listed? For today's numbers, I'm looking only at single family homes below $1 million. If you watched any of our previous shows, you know that the higher price ranges kind of skew this month's supply of inventory number. So looking at the homes that are under $1 million, single family homes right now in our entire MLS, there are 10,311 of those listings, 8,135 that are currently under contract or pending, and 6,136 have sold within the last 30 days, which means that we have a month's supply of inventory of 1.68, which remains incredibly low despite the fact that we are in the slowest time of the year. I don't have the exact numbers, but at this time last year, there were somewhere in the neighborhood of about 17,000 active listings, and now there are only about 14,000. So I believe that we're heading into the spring next year, which of course is the busy season, with somewhere around 3,000 fewer homes available for sale. Combine that with the fact that Phoenix and Maricopa County are among the fastest growing for job growth and population growth. You may have seen some articles published recently about all the jobs and all the people moving here from California and that kind of thing. So fewer homes for sale combined with the incredible growth that we're seeing, I do expect that we will continue to see home values rise purely from a supply and demand standpoint. Now, I get a lot of people asking me, well, what about this recession? Everyone's talking about a recession. I feel like some of that talk maybe has died down over the last couple of weeks. Seems like China, trade wars seem to be getting smoothed over and some of those things. But still the majority of economists being surveyed do believe that we are heading into a recession, if not 2020, then for sure 2021, right? I mean, we've just had an amazing economy for so long. It seems like we're due for a recession. So what does that mean for housing? Well, really interesting, in 3 out of the last 5 recessions, home values did not decrease. Matter of fact, they went up by a good amount in those previous recessions. And in one of the recessions in 1990, home values only decreased by an average of 1.9%. So we've only really had one major recession out of the last 5 recessions where we saw a plummet in house values, and that, of course, was in 2008. And the reason we saw such a big plummet in house values was because that recession was caused by a housing crisis, and then subprime lending, and you've already heard all of this stuff before. So I really don't believe, even if we head into a recession next year, I really don't believe that that is going to have a negative impact on home values. We might see growth slow down a little bit, but based on how few homes are available for sale and looking at previous trends and combine that with how incredibly low interest rates are right now, I believe that we will continue to see home values increasing. Now, another thing that I get asked about quite a bit is, well, next year is a presidential election year, right? And so that means that, how it is. Everyone thinks, well, if so-and-so gets elected, I'm moving to Canada. And if the other person gets elected, then the economy is going to be in the toilet. And, everyone is so dramatic about everything. And so I did a little bit of research to find out, okay, what has happened in previous presidential election years in terms of housing? Did we see a slowdown in home value increases, or did it stay about the same? So going all the way back to 1978, how much did home values increase on average per year in presidential election years versus non-presidential election years? This is really fascinating. In non-presidential election years, home values increased by an average of 4.37%. During presidential election years, home values increased by an average of 4.15%. So 0.22% slower home value increases on average during presidential election years. But here's the thing. 2008 was a presidential election year, and nationally, home values dropped by over 12%. Non-presidential election years did not have a single year with a nearly as dramatic of a drop. So you take that year out, and it's almost identical. So don't let all the talk of recession and all the talk of, well, it's a presidential election year, sway you. It is still a great time to buy a house. As I said in my last video, 7 years from now, everyone is going to be saying, man, I wish in 2019 and 2020, I would have bought 10 houses. So if you liked this content and you'd like to hear more, you want to see some of our other videos and you want to see some of the future information that we put out, please be sure to subscribe to our channel.